Hello everybody and welcome back to another highlights video of AOR Season 16 here for round number 7, the Canadian Grand Prix. And coming into this round I really didn't do a lot of practice for this one because I had exams the following week, so literally I had to focus on that rather than this obviously. So I didn't do much practice at all, but from the practice I did, I felt like it was pretty useful and my pace wasn't actually too bad, although once again in qualifying it did seem like the pace was not really good enough. And round here it was probably best to start the race on the ultra soft tyres in order to make the one stop quite a lot easier, but because I wanted track position, I didn't want to be outside the top 10 around here, I decided to go on the hyper softs for qualifying. So I was hoping to be in the top 5 in this qualifying session, and that was definitely the target. But right now we're in P14 and it's not been the greatest start to the qualifying session, so we need to definitely improve on this lap, and that's what we're doing. But right now it's not been the best of laps so far, and I don't actually remember what sort of times I was doing when I practiced qualifying, but we can't afford to go for a second lap on this tyre, because if you do, then that makes the one stop a whole lot more difficult by starting on this tyre, because the hypersofts really aren't great in race trim. But I wanted that track position, as I said earlier. We're actually getting a little bit of a slipstream there off my teammate Dom. We're 6/10 up on our previous best time. We've got a car right in front of us into the final chicane, which is kind of putting us off a little bit. We could have taken a bit more curb around there, but towards the line, and we're going to set a 1:07.6, which puts us in P7 on the grid, which is 6/10 off pole, so quite a margin once again. Not really good enough, but the race pace seems to be pretty decent, so let's see what we can do here today. So 5 red lights and away we go here for the Canadian Grand Prix, and the initial launch there off the line is pretty decent, but we're once again looking to the inside. We can kind of get a little bit backed up, and that's allowed Alex to go around the outside, and we have to stay in front of Alex here because I wanted to keep my P7. And we did actually get out qualified by, I think it was 2 cars who started on the ultra soft tyres, so they're definitely in a really good position. I think that was Deagle and Flores. So yeah, we've got to try and make use of these tyres in the first few laps, because that is when they're at their best compared to the ultra soft tyres. So let's see what we can do. I wanted to get past Danny as quickly as possible because I knew most probably my race pace should be better than his, so if we can get past him as quickly as possible, then hopefully we can start trying to take some points out of our championship rivals. So towards the hairpin here on lap 1, we're going to look maybe to the inside there, but at this stage in the race it's a little bit too risky because we don't want to get front wing damage like we had at Monaco. And there's a little bit of barging going on there between Deagle and Flores, and that's allowed Danny to maybe have a look at overtaking Deagle down this back straight. So down the back straight we go. Danny's in the slipstream of Deagle, and he looks to the outside of the chicane, which is not really an overtaking place when you're side by side into that corner, so he has to settle for that position for P6 for the time being. And he's actually going to look once again, and maybe we're getting past Deagle, but Deagle's in a very good situation being on his ultra soft tyres. But Danny looks to the inside into turn 1. We're going to see if we can maybe gain from this, so looking to maybe find a way through there, but we're not able to do so. We actually get a little bit of poor traction there out of turn 2, but we lock up into the chicane as well, and that's cost us quite a bit of time, and we're actually under a little bit of pressure here from car Alex behind, so we're going to have to defend into turn number 5, I think this is. So we defend that, and VGIA Michael and Alex behind are actually starting to battle as well, so that's given us a little bit of a gap. But into the chicane here at the end of lap 2, we've caught back up to Danny once again. We're going to look to the inside here of turn number 1. We want to get past him as quickly as possible, so looking to the inside here, can we get the move done? We're on the outside for turn 2 now, which isn't really where you want to be, and going side by side, nearly making a little bit of contact there towards the second chicane, and not quite able to make the move this time. But coming into turn 5, we're going to look to the inside once again. I love overtaking at this corner, and that's what we're going to do. So we're going to go down the inside, braking a lot later than him, and we get the move done pretty simply there into P6. And that little battle there has actually caused a gap to open up to Deagle in front, so we need to try and close that gap back down. And also my move on Danny has allowed Alex to come through as well, but I believe Williams Alex and my teammate Dom actually both qualified outside the top 10 as well, so they'll be starting on the harder compound for sure, so we've got to watch out for them later on in the race, because they're going to be very quick towards the end as well, and also very quick towards the end of the first stint. But you can see here on lap 6 now that the gap to the top 5 is pretty much the same, even though we're actually slowly starting to close on it this lap, I think. But on the previous lap we didn't actually gain anything, and we actually set a personal, well, fastest first sector of the race so far, so we're actually closing on the gap a little bit now. But we've got Michael on the ultra soft tyres behind, so this is kind of the stage now where the ultra softs are going to have quite a bit of an advantage on the hyper softs at this stage. And you can see Michael actually surprisingly goes for a move down the inside of turn 1. I wasn't really expecting that, so we're going to have to defend that. We've got the inside for turn 2, but there's not really any point in fighting him too hard. We make a little bit of contact there, but he's going to go around the outside of the chicane now. And as I said, yeah, there's not really much point in fighting him too hard, because at this time he is in a lot more of a better situation with his tyres, so we don't want to lose too much time in fighting him too hard when inevitably he was going to come through anyway with his fresher tyres. And well, him being on the ultra softs, his tyres are going to be in a better situation than our tyres now on the hyper softs as well. But we're going to try and stick with him in the DRS if we can. And later on lap 8 he actually comes into the pits that lap, surprisingly, considering he was on the ultra soft tyres, so I'm not really sure why. But that battle we had with Michael there has enabled the gap to Deagle Killer now to be 2.7 seconds, when I think previously it was 1.6. So we've lost quite a bit of time through that little battle there, but still the top 5 are pretty close together, so we're not out of this here, out of the fight for podium. So that was definitely my target, despite the fact the pace isn't amazing right now, and considering the fact we qualified in P7, it's obviously going to be quite difficult. But with the lack of practice, surprisingly I didn't feel my pace was that bad, and sometimes doing less practice can actually be a little bit better in some ways. But yeah, I didn't really feel too prepared coming into this, so I wasn't too hopeful, even though I was still aiming for a decent result. And right now it's not going too badly, but out of the pits we go now on the super soft tyres, so we should be able to take these tyres pretty easily to the end for the next 25 laps. But we've come out behind Veloce, who's on the ultra soft tyres, and he qualified outside the top 10, so we want to try and clear him as quickly as possible. But you can see now onto lap 11, the start of lap 11 anyway, the other cars are coming out the pits. That's Epic Gamer coming out, and Yano as well is just going to come out right in front of us, so we gained quite a bit of time on those two by pitting that lap earlier. But then again, our tyres are 1 lap older, which shouldn't really make too much of a difference. It might make a little bit of a difference towards the end of the race, but if we can stick with these guys, then we should be in the fight for a podium here today, which would be a fantastic result, as I said. So now on to the start of lap 13. Deagle, who obviously extended his stint by starting on the ultra soft tyres, he's coming out of the pits now. We've managed to jump him, but he does have fresher super soft tyres, so he's going to be quite a bit quicker than us later on in the race anyway. But we're in front of him, and we're now in this top 5 leading group, despite the fact there's a couple of people who are yet to pit in the middle of this fight at the moment. But yeah, we're in a good position to hopefully fight for a podium if we can clear some of these guys as quickly as possible. But you can see now onto lap 15, into the chicane here. We haven't really got the best run out of it, and we're in low ERS. We're already kind of saving our ERS a little bit because we're not in the greatest situation with that. But we've got Deagle right behind us, and he's actually going down the inside here of the hairpin. We make a little bit of contact there, but he goes through, which I didn't think was the end of the world really, because I knew he's going to be quicker anyway. But I thought maybe down this straight I've now got DRS, so I might be able to get him back. But he's also got DRS from the car in front, even though we're closing on him right now, but we're not going to be close enough to make a move into the chicane there. So he gets through, and we actually get a warning, which gives us a 3-second time penalty. And this was another track where it's really difficult not to get any time penalties, because that chicane, yeah, the final chicane around this track is really easy to cut, and it's honestly so difficult not to cut it. And some of the other chicanes around here as well, like this one as well, you can easily cut. So yeah, the aim around here was to try and get as little amount of penalties as possible. We've only got 1 at the moment, but we need to be careful of getting any more later on in the race. But you can see here on lap 16, I was pretty close to the back of Deagle there, out the hairpin. But one area where I really did struggle around here was getting good enough traction out of the hairpin, because I could never really get a good enough run to overtake anyone onto the back straight there. But we've got quite a bit of a group forming right now. I think we've got Veloce and Jaythorn in the middle of it, who are yet to pit. And one thing that I didn't mention as well is that Floris, we also managed to jump him in the pit stop as well, because he pitted, I'm not sure when he pitted, but we managed to jump him anyway, and he started on the ultra soft tyres as well. So compared to Floris, we're in a pretty good position right now, but we're being a little bit held up in this group. Deagle managed to get past Veloce there in the hairpin, as you would have seen, but I don't think we got anywhere near good enough drive out of the hairpin to even think about challenging Veloce into the chicane. But you can see Deagle as well is getting past Jaythorn into the chicane, so he's managed to clear these two pretty quickly there, so that was pretty good from him. So we've got to try and do the same here to not lose too much time to the leading group. So maybe looking at the inside there of Veloce into turn number 1, but I think we are too far back, and once again just getting a little bit frustrated now, because we know we want to get through as quickly as possible and not lose too much time, because we know we're quicker than these guys now, considering the fact they're on worn ultra soft tyres. And Veloce actually hits the wall there out of the chicane. We're going to look maybe to the inside at the same place we overtook Danny earlier on in the race, but we're not able to do that into that chicane there. So once again having to just sit behind Veloce and Jthorn, and that's actually allowed Floris to be right onto the back of us now already. And we've also got to think about saving a little bit of ERS as well, because we've only got around 40% left, and we actually hit the wall there on the exit as well. But we've got to try and clear Veloce as quickly as possible. Hopefully this lap we can do it, and we actually send it up the inside of the hairpin, braking very, very late there, and we actually managed to get through before we even get to the back straight, and we've managed to get through. So up into P10 ahead of Veloce, but we're still side by side with him, and he's actually edging slightly in front now, but we've got DRS. I believe he has as well, but yeah, we're able to get through into the chicane. And next up is Jthorn, so we've got to try and clear him as quickly as possible as well. Not really getting a good exit though out of the final chicane, and I was hoping Veloce might be able to hold up Floris a little bit, because Floris was right on the back of us before that, and he was indeed able to stay in front of Floris, at least for the time being. But you can see here later on into lap 19, maybe looking down the inside of Jthorn into the hairpin, but not quite able to do so. And you can see we actually get hit from behind by Floris, who I think was going for an almighty dive bomb there on Veloce into the hairpin, and he's actually hit us, which has really affected our run onto the back straight here. We're actually under pressure now from Veloce, who's in the slipstream. He's got DRS, we've also got DRS, but still Veloce is going for the move into the final chicane there, and we have to defend, which cost us a little bit of time. And that contact there with Floris was, I think at the time, the immediate thing that I thought of was what happened in Bahrain with AOR Flying Fin, who hit the back of us in sort of the same way Floris did there. He was going for a move on Veloce, and yeah, I think it was just accidental. He hit the back of us, but that did cost us quite a bit of time. We nearly spun there, but you can see now onto lap 21 we go past Curly, who then goes into the pit lane. And when you're side by side with someone who goes into the pit lane here at Canada, it's really distracting. It's really hard not to outbrake yourself in that kind of situation. I'm sure some of you may have had it in the past as well, but we're able to get away with that one there, and we are now into P4, which is, yeah, it's a decent position, but you can see how far ahead the leading three are compared to us, and we've lost quite a bit of time through those battles we had there with the likes of Veloce and Jthorn. And now onto lap 22, we're not able to break away from Floris, who I think has my teammate Dom behind him as well. And Floris has actually got the DRS on us here, and he's going down the back straight, and he's in the slipstream, and he's got the DRS, and he goes around the outside of us into the chicane. There was nothing I could do there to really defend or fight him too hard, and he manages to go through. And after being in P4, I wanted to just try and break away from the two behind, but we're not able to do that, and we're now having to worry about ERS as well, because we're not in the greatest situation with that either. Tim Palm, who I think was on ultra soft tyres at this stage as well, he's lapping pretty quickly, so we might have to watch out for him towards the end of the race as well. But now towards the second chicane, we're actually under a little bit of pressure from our teammate Dom behind, and he actually slightly hits us there into the chicane. I'm not sure what happened there, but at the time I was more worried for him, think he may have a little bit of front wing damage from that, but I think we both got away with that one. And now on to lap 24 in the same situation, still behind Floris, and Floris didn't manage to break away from us, because I think that's what I found with him. It's very difficult to just break away with the DRS and the slipstream and everything. It's really difficult to pull away on this game, and yeah, I think that's why you have so many groups forming and so many battles like the one we're having right now. But Dom is right up behind us, and there's a ghosted car in front of Danny. But now we've got to try and get past Floris as quickly as possible, and not getting a good run out the hairpin once again. That ghost car is honestly so distracting. I really find them quite annoying in league races when you have to drive through a ghost car, because yeah, it quite badly affected my run there onto the back straight. But Dom went for a move there on the straight. He made a little bit of contact with us on that straight there. I think that was mainly due to desync, but then he backed out because it was really an unrealistic move into the final chicane there. But we're under quite a bit of pressure now from our teammate Dom, and then I think Williams Alex is behind him in P7, who's also I think he was on ultra soft tyres as well, and also Dom's on fresher super soft tyres than us, so he's going to be quicker, but still not in that much of a bad position. And especially considering the fact I haven't done much practice, we're in a pretty good position for some good points. But once again, the ghost car kind of affected my exit there, and it put me off, and we got a bad exit, and that's allowed Dom to easily go past us there into the chicane. And we've now got a bad exit out of there as well, and that's now allowed Williams Alex to go for a move. He's going to be quicker than us anyway, being on the ultra soft tyres, but we're going to fight him as hard as we can now into the hairpin, braking as late as possible to try and stay in front of him. and still going side by side here on the exit of the hairpin, but he goes round the outside and he's going to have DRS as well, I believe. But we got it as well, so we're going to go side by side down the back straight towards the final chicane. But at this stage we just got to back out because 2 cars into that final chicane really doesn't work, because we get another warning there for exceeding track limits. And I knew people around me as well, they're going to have penalties, so we don't have to risk everything in some of these battles because positions may change due to penalties, and I know I've got a couple already, and saying that I get another one right now. But yeah, I was hoping some people around me would have penalties which could enable us to gain a few positions towards the end of the race here. But you can see there's all kinds of battles going on in front between Flores and Dom, and Aresi, who's now a lap down, has actually come out of the pits right in the middle of this battle, and that's enabled us to catch right up to this group. We did fall a little bit behind them, but we've actually been able to catch right up to the back of them once again. So I was hoping maybe if these guys keep battling we could maybe pick up the pieces in some of their battles that they have. But you can see out this corner here, Dom goes for a move on Flores, and Flores completely shoves him towards the wall there. And I've seen Dom's footage from that, and that was pretty poor driving there from Flores. But Dom gets through, and then Flores cuts the chicane, so he's fighting this battle like his life depends on it for some reason. I'm not too sure why he was fighting this too hard, because it's only for P4. He doesn't P4, he doesn't really need to fight it as hard as he is. And they're still going side by side, making contact on the exit there, and that's now opened the opportunity up for Williams Alex to go past a pair of them, and we're now catching on all 3 of them because of this. But Williams Alex is going down the inside here towards the final chicane, and I was just at this stage staying behind them because I thought maybe they're going to collide into each other. But Williams Alex goes through, Flores cuts the chicane once again, so still he's driving a little bit crazily now. But into turn number 1, Alex has cleared the pair of them, and him being on ultra soft tyres as well, he's in a good position to get P4 here today. So now at this stage I was hoping, despite my pace not being the greatest, I was hoping maybe we could try and fight Flores and Dom here, and they're going side by side once again. Dom's forcing him towards the inside line, but Flores completely sends it up the inside once again, and he pushes Dom towards the wall, and that's now given us an opportunity to go past the pair of them. We've actually gone past Dom already, and we've got a good run here on Flores as well. We actually get a warning for that little bit of contact there with Flores, but ERS in hot lap, fuel enriched. We actually got hit once again from Dom behind due to desync, but we go round the outside of Flores into the final chicane to take P5. And now at this stage I was just saying to myself, I've got to try and break away from those two because we were losing so much time behind Flores especially, and I saved a bit of ERS in that time as well, so now is the time to try and pull away. And for the following laps after that, the pace to Williams Alex, the gap to Williams Alex kind of stayed relatively constant, but then eventually my tyres started to go off even more, and Dom, who's on fresher super soft tyres, is now right on the back of us again here on, starting lap 33. We have to defend the inside line there into turn number 1 from Dom, and Dom actually had quite a few penalties, as did Williams Alex, and I think Flores did as well, so we don't really need to fight these guys too hard. And I knew Dom had quite a few penalties as well because the engineer said across the radio the car behind has time penalties, so I wasn't going to fight him too hard into this hairpin. He goes down the inside, and we're gonna get DRS back on this back straight, so maybe we can try and get back past him. And you can see Tim Palm as well behind on the ultra soft tyres is now right up behind us, but for some reason there Dom got the DRS instead of me, so yeah, we're not able to fight him back, and Dom goes through into P5, even though we've got a pretty good run out of that final chicane there. But once again he has DRS, and there's nothing really I can do. But you can see how low my ERS is with 2 laps to go here, so we've got to be careful as well of Tim Palm behind on the ultra soft tyres, who's going to have so much more pace than us. And you can see now, moving towards the end of the penultimate lap, Tim Palm looks to the outside of the final chicane, but we're going to defend it as best as we can. We go pretty slow through there to just prevent him from going for any kind of move into turn number 1 really, so he doesn't get a good enough run on this pit straight here. But you can see how close the top 7 is as we are now onto the final lap, and we're going to stay on board from here to the end as well. The top 7 is very, very close, and I think Epic Gamer was in the lead, and he's not too far in front of this. He's only going into the second chicane now, so yeah, it's been a very, very close race. And once again, just like it has been all season, there's been all kinds of battles going on, and this is honestly one of the most close championships I've ever been in really, because the calibre of drivers in this league this season is absolutely incredible. And I think you can see Dom in front. I think that's Michael in front of him, and he's actually right on the back of Michael as well, but Michael had no time penalties at all, so yeah, he's in a good position. We've got 2, I believe, and I think some people around us have even more than that. But onto the back straight here for the final time of this race. We've got no DRS, and Tim Palm is obviously going to have DRS, so immediately we're going defensive towards the final chicane, and we're going to have to defend as hard as we can into the final chicane. Tim Palm looks to the outside, but we defend it with as best as we can, and once again he's going to have DRS towards the line, but I think we're going to be able to hold on to our P6 there, which actually goes up to P5 after time penalties. So we take P5 here today, which I'd definitely take that as a good result. Tim Palm actually finished in P3 with as little penalties as he had. Michael takes the win as well, and you can also see that Dom ended up in P8. Epic Game across the line in P1 and ended up in P6. But thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Leave a like if you did. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I will see you for round 8, which is France. Goodbye.